I'm not going to start this video by telling you what you already know about James Bond, because if you haven't heard about him by now, well, you're probably a gender studies student living in the Gaza Strip and maybe not my target audience. The Daniel Craig era is over, and there's been a lot of talk about Bond 26 that has some excited, others petrified, and at least a few indifferent. But who cares about them? I honestly don't want to know these people. How could they make it work in the post-Me Too era? Is the debonair gentleman spy an anachronism? Would the modern-day feminized bun-wearing beta males appreciate him? Would the toxic gender studies females living with 12 Pomeranians and only fanning to pay for more plastic surgery even want to watch it? Or would they have an awakening and follow their natural womanly urges? Well, Grok and I dug into enough rumors and post-production news to at least make a video for you. So let's dive right into the latest in James Bond news. It was 1953, and we had just saved Europe from the Krauts in WWII. An ex-British intelligence operative named Ian Fleming wrote a book titled Casino Royale. He sold the rights in 1955 for just $1,000, plus $100 for every broadcast of the film adaptation, because, you know, he was broke and didn't know what the hell he was doing.
You done messed up, Aaron!
Rookie mistake. Even so, 11 novels and 2 short stories later, we got the man that women and I guess some men wanted and men wanted to be. He lived the life of high adventure. He was handsome and mentally equipped to handle any situation without putting a scratch on his classic black tuxedo. He was armed with a martini in one hand, a Walther PPK in the other, and a beautiful woman by his side. The franchise was unique in that the character was portrayed by multiple actors spanning 60 years, with each adding their own unique flavor to the role. As you know, the first James Bond was Alpha of Alphas, 1953 Mr. Universe contestant and absolute Giga Chad, Sir Thomas Sean Connery. The Scot, born on August 25, 1930, had rugged good looks and a commanding presence that immediately impressed producers Albert Broccoli and Harry Saltzman. They noted that this was especially the case when he left the table in a jungle cat-like manner. Poor Cary Grant didn't stand a chance. Initially, Ian Fleming was not on Team Connery. He thought Connery was this low-born Scot, because Fleming was a little bit snobby. However, Connery was so based and compelling that Fleming changed his mind and made Bond a Scot in his books. After filming wrap, Dr. No made an estimated $59 million on a $1 million budget worldwide. The franchise blew up, and Sir Sean Connery would reprise the role 4 more times before relinquishing the mantle of his character to ingrate Australian-born George Lazenby to star in the film on Her Majesty's Secret Service. The ex-model and car salesman wasn't a horrible choice. He had chiseled good looks and an athletic frame, even if he kept pushing for a more sensitive Bond. What a pussy, right? But on the worst advice an agent has ever given an actor in the history of cinema, Lazenby decided to tell the studio to fuck off because he was too good for Bond. As a first-time actor, he even had his voice dubbed in some of the scenes by George Baker. He just couldn't cut it in the industry. The studio was now Bondless, and the franchise had just taken off. So like the guy who got dumped by his girlfriend, then got dumped by the new one, they would go back to the first one for a one-night stand, and Connery would reprise his role in Diamonds Are Forever. It was a band-aid but not the cure, so in 1971, the studio would find a new Bond for a new decade. Connery was replaced with 45-year-old Stockholm, London native Roger Moore.
I'm Roger Moore.
He transformed 007 from Connery's rugged, macho character into a polished, self-deprecating playboy that played Bond with a lighter, almost comedic tone. Moore went on to make the next 7 out of 8 Bond films, from Live and Let Die to the critically panned A View to a Kill, that by the way I loved, and I could care less who didn't, because this is my damn channel and I could say what I want. I say 7 out of 8 because for some reason Connery returned.
Somehow Palpatine returned.
In 1983, he wasn't the young spy that he used to be, and in Never Say Never Again, action sequences were a little bit slower paced, and the younger romantic conquest scenes were more awkward than Leonardo DiCaprio's dating pool. It was now 1987, and it was time for a reimagining of Bond. The role would go to Timothy Dalton of Hot Fuzz. He was a brooding, ruthless, emotionally scarred killer haunted by duty and moral ambiguity, which was a little bit of a throwback to the original Fleming novels. Although he was a great actor, I think he was a bit of a mismatch, and he only got 2 films before he was replaced by Pierce Brosnan. Brosnan was a polished post-Cold War 007 who blended Connery's swagger with Moore's charm. He arrived as a suave, media-savvy spy in the internet age for the film GoldenEye, coincidentally named after Fleming's Jamaican estate. He would be Bond until Die Another Day. Finally, that brings us to the Daniel Craig era. We would get the best and worst of Bond. At first, it was brilliant, dark, gritty, and more realistic. Casino Royale with cheese gave cinemagoers what they wanted, a more grounded approach to heroes. We can see this in Batman Begins, V for Vendetta, and Watchmen. Martin Campbell gave us a Jason Bourne of Bonds, and some critics hated it. They felt that this wasn't Bond, and they were right. But I enjoyed the shit out of it, mostly because I love seeing ass beatings and explosions, but also the Bond girls. Unfortunately, it wouldn't be long before they took that beautiful movie and turned it into
Human action!
Quantum of Solace was good, but a drop in quality. Skyfall was a more grounded return to form. Spectre was forgettable, and they totally cut them in No Time to Die. His inner man bun was showing, and he was constantly pining over his lost love Vesper. What a little bitch. He was visiting her grave, and he was playing second fiddle to Lashana Lynch's black female 007. This was all to satisfy the modern audience. Because of course, there has to be a black female 007 and most likely a DEI hire who's probably one of the alphabet people.
The Me Too movement came at the right time. I mean, long overdue, and it's had a huge impact on the world, and I'm thrilled that it has done, and I think everything we do has to reflect that. So I think the film will absolutely incorporate that. Diversity and inclusion is something that I feel very strongly about. It's very important that we make films that reflect the world we live in.
Are you retarded?
Where do we go from here? In the convoluted world that is modern entertainment, can we have good things? Top Gun Maverick and F1 prove that we can, if we get a good director that's passionate about the characters, story, and legacy. So what's next for Bond? With films like Mad Max, Furiosa, and John Wick's Ballerina, what can we expect? A DEI, toxic body positivity female Bond that might be trans or disabled, like some other franchises. Do we have to abolish that so-called male gaze, whatever the hell that means? I'm not sure, but some of the news I've been getting is hopeful and a little concerning. So let's do a deep dive into the pre-production chaos and see why Amazon's throwing its hat in the ring. After No Time to Die, Ian Productions, the longtime guardian of 007, handed the keys to Jeff Bezos in February 2025. Barbara Broccoli and Michael G. Wilson, who had been steering the ship since GoldenEye, were out. So pre-production is stacked with A-listers behind the camera, and Bezos is fast-tracking the deal that closed March 2025. I know that Amazon has a shit ton of money, but is anybody excited for them to be producing it? This is that same studio that brought us that fucking masterpiece, War of the Worlds.
Wait, give him an Amazon gift card for $1,000. Hurry!
That's a part that scares the crap out of me. Next, some are saying it's a soft reboot. Of course, Bond's back, but with a fresh start, whatever that means. Maybe because they're not picking up from Craig's feminized exit, and that's a good thing. One detail that has me hopeful is that the $325 million film chose Denis Villeneuve as director in June 26, 2025. The Dune mastermind beat out heavyweights like Edgar Wright, Edward Berger, and even Alonso Cuarón. His Dune Part 3 wraps up in late 2025 or early 2026, so Bond filming should kick off in mid-2026. Another thing that has me excited is that they signed Peaky Blinders creator Steven Knight. He was chosen to pen the film on July 31st, 2025. So we gotta expect a gritty, bold, darker tone with an emphasis on character development and story. And that's a big win for Bond these days. Knight's a lifelong fan, and he says that it's something the same, but different, better, stronger. No plot details yet, but he's thinking it's maybe a reboot. New Bond, new threats, classic Fleming flair. So who are they wanting to slip into that tux? Casting should start after Villeneuve finishes Dune 3, so 2026 at the earliest. Insiders say that they're hunting a fresh face, unknownish, thank God male, British, or from the Isles, who's in his late 20s or 30s. No A-listers with baggage. Someone who can play Bond for a long time and won't pussy out like Daniel Craig. You know, Amazon has to stretch its bucks. The list of hopefuls includes Tom Holland, a good actor, but too damn short. Jacob Elordi of Saltburn, but damn, those caterpillar eyebrows might be smacking his Bond girls in the face when they get too close. Harris Dickinson of Baby Girl, but I'm not actually sure if he's a man or a woman. And Theo James of The Gentleman, who would be fantastic. He has a strong camera presence, good acting ability, and a proven track record as a lead of a show. What about the Bond girl, you ask? To the delight of men in every corner of the world, Sydney Sweeney is rumored to be the next Bond girl. That girl oozes sexuality and is seductive enough to make the Dalai Lama break his vow of celibacy. Just don't make her a boss girl. And it's on. Give her strength, but vulnerability. A little sass while still being susceptible to Bond's charms, like in the old days. Is that too much to ask for? I mean, I think the world needs more of that. Is it fashionable for a woman to find a man attractive and want to hook up anymore? Are we breeding a generation of asexual, passionless women who would rather be a man than be with a man? If we are,
I don't want to live on this planet anymore.
and for fuck's sake, let the Bond girl have a romantic interest in our hero. Well, best guess is that it releases in 2028 if all goes well. If it goes as well as Star Wars, maybe a little bit shy of a decade. I'll keep you up to date with the news of the first Bond to serve under a British king. But what do you want? More gadgets? A Henry Cavill Bond? A Sydney Sweeney Bond girl? So join me in a shaken martini toast, and as always, keep watching movies.